Hello, our viewers out there, those who are watching. Welcome to our online platform. So this is the catalog on behalf of the Move. My name is Kels, and we are here with Mr. Bill and then Stigam Jr. So, Bill, how is the curfew and all the COVID-19 saga treating you?
Fairly well. Hi, everybody. Glad to be here. It is not a saga. It is an interesting time of change.
Yeah.
It is a time where I have actually come to realize so many things. I've seen the difference between what is necessary and what is not necessary. It is a time of reflection, a time of change. I've realized that we are at a point whereby things are never going to be the same again.
That is very true, because
Yes.
I don't think the world is going back to where it was.
No, it
Because
is not.
things have changed. And when you talked about things that are necessary and things that are not, I remember people used to have their bikes hanged up in their houses or in the store.
As
But
decorations.
yes, but right now, if you have a bike, you have a Mercedes Benz.
Yes, I came on my bicycle. I see you guys all happy, you know. Yes, and this bicycle of mine actually had also sat for on an average of 8 months, just chilling.
But
you know.
now
It has brought me here for this interview as well. So, yes, there are changes.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, for our topic today, we are talking about the influence of peers and the effects of drug abuse. So, Bill, most times when they mention the word peers or peer influence, what comes to your mind first?
Peer influence. I will say that I can explain that using my own experience.
Which is very okay, because for many readers and for many young people out there, what comes to their mind first is substance use, talk of alcohol and smoking. So I don't know what comes to your mind.
Yes. When I was growing up, my early years were in Kabale town. Yeah. Because of the political imbalance, regime changes and all that. So when I moved to St. Mary's College, Kisubi, things changed from what they were in primary school and secondary school. Yes. In primary school, the influence was a little bit more like we were children.
Okay.
When I got into secondary school, I found a bigger picture. They are the cool guys, and then they are the fake guys.
So where did you fall?
Now, the cool guys will pull you. You want to wear shirts like them, you want to speak like them, you want to be like them.
You want to do whatever they do.
You want to do
basically.
what they do.
Yeah.
That was peer influence in itself. Peer influence can be your desire to be like other people because of what they are doing or what they are showing, whether it is good or
bad.
it is not good. When it comes to using drugs, there are so many peer influences that enable young people to fall into using drugs, especially drugs and alcohol. One, it can be because they are lied to that if you take these drugs, you will be able to read for long hours.
I know.
If you take these drugs, which could be medication which is prescribed, they will make you cleverer. We have heard people saying they're using certain drugs which are for mentally challenged people to feel cleverer. There are other drugs, you can be influenced to use drugs because you look cool, or because they will make you feel confident.
I know.
Or because there are so many reasons as to why that influence comes, and it is not like saying someone will pour it into your mouth and say you have to drink, or no, but the influence is I see it, I desire it, and then I want it. You see what I'm saying? There is also another form of influence, which is I fear the people that I'm dealing with. For instance, we are 5 guys.
Yeah.
We do drugs. We say, come and take. You fear to say no.
Of course, if you say no,
You might be beaten.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
there is, So basically, there are so many different kinds of peer influences. Some which are coercive, others which are forceful. That you would have to pick them out one by one, start dealing with each and every topic to deal with, the peer influence that gets young people involved with the use of drugs.
Yeah, that is actually amazing. Right now, I had to talk about something, especially during this time, Bill, where we're having kids are not at school and everyone is home. There's what I call the leisure boredom. Do you think this could also be something that will ignite some of those things like substance use, like alcohol, or I don't know?
Yeah, there are two things I can say about that. One, yes, they can begin the process for some who can access, especially those who live in communal homes. We see so many houses today are semi-detached,
Yeah.
right? So if there is influence from within, yes, because the lockdown prevents people from moving too far.
Yes,
So
that's true.
that prevention from movement kind of reduces the problem, you see. But because of being idle and bored and all that, young people, especially those who have phones, can start accessing each other to make, we have these Zoom calls, Zoom parties,
Yeah,
there are all
that's-
kinds of strange things. There is change, people
Yeah,
are adapting.
that's true.
And then those who have money, because the parents feel, this one is okay, you can order your things on Jumia for those
It's okay.
private things you want, and then they order, not only Jumia, there are so many online services, there are so many, even borders, and then they bring them in. And I have actually seen a video of young kids having a drink party on Zoom. Well, I don't know if I should be saying this because I might be encouraging young people now to even, can we do this? Can we try this? But these are things that are happening, and it is important for parents to check on their kids at this time to see what are they engaging in. How is it that this young man, who is so full of energy, can just sit in his room and be content there, lock himself in, not
Actually-
want to come out?
Okay, talking about that, because I always, NBS always sends me those tweets, and then they encourage all the parents that make sure you check what your kids are doing online, every content that they are getting online. And when you talked about the cell phones and all that, I understand drugs have been in existence for a really long time and in all forms. And then when you talk about phones, I understand there are so many methodologies and that are coming up. So it's very easy for people, for young people to get drugs, especially with this changing technology.
Yes, it's very easy. I mean, you see, using drugs is not the big deal. And why I say that is that so many young people try. The problem today is the kind of drugs that are on the market. Some of them are purposely created, manufactured or made to induce addiction. Purposely. That is their purpose, to induce addiction. And there are certain drugs we know in the market that the first time you use them, you develop cravings for them. First time.
So use
The
it today,
majority,
then you want to use
you
it the
wanted to
next
use
day,
it.
like every day it becomes an
Yes.
addiction.
You get the cravings for it. It creates the desire.
Okay, so starting from there, there is this question that roams around my mind. So if there are some drugs that are made specifically to induce addiction, why is it that there are some people who get addicted to the drugs and there are some people who don't get addicted to the drugs?
Yes, like I started, I mentioned that not everybody can get addicted, or not everybody, that so many young people, the majority, okay, so many, let me not say majority, are inquisitive or are forced to, that peer influence makes them use. But not all of them, the problem I said, that not all of them become addicts, because now we've crossed onto something else. Addiction is when a person using fails to stop or fails to control. You see what I'm saying? And they desire it irrespective of what's happening within their relationships or their lifestyle. If it's affecting their schoolwork, if it's affecting their families, if it's affecting their grades, if it's affecting anything. You see? So what happens is there are so many reasons as to why some people become addicted. And there are social reasons, there are environmental reasons, there are physical reasons. I'll give you some. For instance, there is a genetic factor.
Exactly, that
There
is the myth.
yes, there is a genetic predisposition whereby some people are prone to addiction, whereby the moment they use, they start developing the need to use again. So the cravings come naturally, and yet you'll find one young person tries it, or they are forced to, and they be like, I can never do this thing again. Another one tries it, and the moment they try it, they want to do it again. Usually the one who feels they need to do it again is genetically predisposed. That is physical, it's biological, it's the brain structure. Then there are social reasons, whereby I use, and then because I want to be in that company, I continue using, so I self-induce the addiction. I get so used to it that the brain forgets it can actually perform those functions without it. And then it gets engaged with using. Okay?
Yeah.
There are environmental factors as well. The environmental factors whereby you are, let me give you an example. You are born in a plantation of wheat. They are using it to sell, to make money for the family. You are born in an environment where your mother or father is selling nguli to make money. You see what I'm saying? There are social factors where it is interactions. You know, there are so many reasons as to why some will take, but the most important one, when you asked about the drugs which are created intentionally, those ones, it is like saying that when I take Panadol, my head stops paining. When you take Panadol, your head stops paining, isn't it? Yeah? When you take this drug, for instance, if you take an appetizer, what are those things called? We used to eat yeast when we were young to induce appetite. You feel like eating. When you take these drugs, it induces the need to do it again.
It's an appetizer for more drugs.
So it does not know whether you are genetically predisposed or you are not. For it, it does its job. It kills the headache. It makes you want more.
So genetically, it is not possible for you yourself to refuse the addiction if you, in case you have taken those drugs.
You see, something which is very, 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 very interesting about addiction is one. Yes? People think it's a moral problem. They think, oh, a person has failed, or this person is careless, or this person is this, the other. But the interesting thing about it is that addiction is dependent on choices. Much as it can be, like for instance, let me give you my example. I say I am an alcoholic in long-term recovery. And I do not think that there's anything wrong with saying, if you ask me, Bill, are you an alcoholic? I'll say yes. Why? If you ask a person who is diabetic, what will they tell you? No, I'm not diabetic. Because you're not seeing the symptoms. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I am an alcoholic, not because I am drinking and messing up, not because I am condemning myself, as people like to say, especially we religious folks, but because if I drink, I will go exactly back to where I was. And there is no way I can use now. That means I am an alcoholic, just like saying I am diabetic. And therefore, as a diabetic, if it is at a certain level, I have to use insulin. I have to stop eating certain foods. Because if I do, I'll get a problem. The biggest worry is that the word like alcoholic or addict, they are stigmatized. And that stigma is the reason as to why people fear to be labeled that. You see what I mean? But if I tell you I'm an alcoholic and then you give me booze, or you'll be like, that guy is an alcoholic, you know what? Keep it away from him. Even when it comes to going to, let's say, family gatherings where, you know, many people like their wine glass and what. I'm an alcoholic. If I start, I will not stop. He's an alcoholic. Please don't serve him that.
Keep it away from him.
But you'll be there, no, I am not an alcoholic in the name of Jesus. I cancel, I bind. You will bind what? It is life. That is you. You see what I mean? So there is so much that is not understood about this, and stigma has taken over, and you know, the devil knows how to enter different places. It will get into the church disguised as this. It will get into, so it has gotten into people's minds disguised as what? As stigma. As a moral issue. Because one person can drink his wine, just one glass, because, okay, it's a celebration. And another one, when they drink a glass, they mess up. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's something else.
Yeah.
So we have to be, we have to understand these issues. There is so much to understand about the issues of addiction and, yeah.
That brings me to my other question.
Yes.
I'm in senior 6.
Yes.
And of course, high school is the prominent area for
Yes.
this practice.
Yes.
And over the years, we have gotten to know many myths about substance use
Mhm.
and drug abuse.
Mm.
And there is a myth that says that in the use of these drugs, you can get healed with
Mhm.
diseases.
Okay.
And to some people, they go ahead to use it so that they can get healed
Yes.
of diseases. So I wonder, is it true or not?
Now, let me tell you something. It is very true.
It's very
And why do I say that?
Mm.
There is no drug
Mm.
which is not a drug.
it does not cure.
Do you understand what I mean?
Like the statement.
There is no drug which is not a
It's not
drug.
a
Otherwise, it
drug.
would not be called a drug. I see what I'm saying.
Yes.
What you see, the eucalyptus tree is a very useful plant. It cures so many diseases. The difference between so is weed. Let's call it by its real name, marijuana, cannabis.
Yeah.
Okay, weed also has got its healing properties. Is what I'm saying. The difference between the eucalyptus tree, the bark and its leaves, is different between the marijuana tree,
Yeah.
the leaves and its branches. Why? Because one is psychoactive, which is the weed. Weed changes the mental state of your brain. The eucalyptus is not psychoactive. It does not change the mental state of your brain. They are both medicinal, and we have drugs that are made from those plants. So the difference between them is one drug is psychoactive, the other one is not psychoactive. Chloroquine or hydroxychloroquine, which they are talking about in this COVID era, is not psychoactive. You won't take it and get high. Well, I don't know, but at least no one takes it as a drug to get high. But there are certain medications, yes, which are used where they use psychoactive substances, which are usually painkillers.
Exactly.
You see what I mean? Now, because of the medicinal input, because of the medicinal value of that plant, people will say, all you have to do is take weed. Why? Because the other drug is made from weed and it's given in the hospital. Heroin, cocaine, name it, all those drugs, they are medicinal. They are just made in such a way that they are not made for recreational purposes. The drugs we are talking about right now are drugs which are made for recreational purposes.
That's true.
So they'll tell you to smoke weed recreationally, and to boost its sales, they'll say it's medicinal and it heals. But then they'll tell you if it's to be medicinal, this is how you take it. And that is why there is a difference between drug abuse and addiction. Drug abuse and drug intoxication. Drug abuse could be using antibiotics for cough. Drugs for intoxication is using certain cough mixtures which have a certain element to get high. It is both drug abuse, but one of them is for intoxication, the other one is probably innocent. One is simply destroying your liver, your kidneys, your pancreas. The other one is destroying the liver, the pancreas, the kidneys, but it is also giving you a mental feeling, which people like. That's what I mean. Like I said, it is a wide subject. So all these drugs are drugs. If you take them recreationally, that is where the problem comes. It is a lie. For instance, when you say that if you take this medication, if you take these tablets, you'll stay awake. Let me tell you what happens. That to read, you've had others to read, you'll stay awake. Now, there are certain drugs which have an effect on your physical, on the muscles, on the physical, not the mental.
So when you take them, you are physical.
So let's say it either relaxes or it
Contracts.
the muscles. So what happens when you take these drugs which they say keep you awake? It enhances muscle activity. It doesn't have anything to enhance the brain activity. So basically, let's say your eyes are open like this.
But the
brain is closed. So you will look, but you will not.
Understand.
So they are all lies. And because you'll see someone, hey man, that guy took the other thing, and man, they were up for 2 days non-stop. You're looking at the 2 days of reading, you're not looking at how much has entered inside the head. So there are a lot of myths there, and most of these, because you see, young people don't even understand these drugs themselves. They started off from, no, when you take this, you become brave. They don't know why you feel brave. We say the most dangerous people in this world are the weed takers, because it does not affect the muscle activity and it affects the brain. So you have a distorted brain that makes you feel you're big, you're strong, you're courageous, you can do anything. And what do? So you have a big fool operating with a lot of energy and guts. Are you seeing what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm seeing.
So basically we say that, yes, there are so many myths, and these myths need to be discussed one by one, slowly by slowly. I usually actually say that we need to encourage having syllabuses that deal with this problem. I was watching something just yesterday when I was doing my preparation. I never do anything when I'm not prepared. And then there was a lady, she's a counseling, she's a psychiatrist right now. So she was mentioning that in the opioid crisis, 11 people per day were dying in Canada from using these opioids. And she mentioned that in the USA, 11 people per hour on average are dying from the opioids. This does not know COVID-19.
That's serious.
Yes, but that is how bad it is, because those ones are overdose deaths. You know, I also want to add this before our time gets over.
Yeah.
There are certain things that people don't understand about the use of drugs. They look at the long term and say, but my uncle has been drinking for 40 years, how come he's still okay? So and so has been using, he passed his exams. This and this and the other, and those are the myths, again, as you talk about. The problem is they forget there are those momentary things that happen. You can take the wrong drug today, you can take an overdose. So one, you die of poisoning, another one, you die of
Lung cancer.
yes, those ones are long term. Lung cancer, those ones come after a while. You see, we are talking about you taking weed, hitting your head on the wall, and you become mentally disturbed for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
We are talking about you drunk driving the day you tried it for the first time,
An accident happens.
and you kill somebody, and you end up in jail.
You break your leg.
You break your leg, you get maimed, you break your backs, your spine. There are those momentary things that we don't think about, and we think, it can't happen to me. You can never know what would happen to you when it happens to you. So when we start bringing it closer to especially to young people, we bring it closer to you. I like telling people the story of my friend who hit his head on a windscreen and ran mad on spot. And for the rest of his life, he was just walking around in circles. He couldn't talk. And it was one senior 4 vacation. You see what I'm saying? Just one impact, okay? Yeah, so basically, that's what I can say.
So Bill, you said something, and then I had to relate it with I think this is also a myth, I don't know, but there is something people always say. They say it's a family thing, like his uncle used to smoke, his uncle used to drink, or his dad used to smoke before he died, that is why he smokes, or that is why he drinks. I don't know how true that is. Do you think?
Yes, like I said, I talked about genetic predisposition.
Yeah.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I talked about the social environment also inducing it.
Yeah.
What you see your father doing, you tend to think that probably you should do.
Okay.
So it is usually true. Okay? It is true that because what a child is exposed to, if a child is exposed to shouting and screaming and abusive language, they will grow up and adopt it. You'll notice that kids usually take on what happens.
Yeah.
So the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So it is very true that many of them who do it, they pick it up from there. But also, there is the genetic predisposition which I said, and that is DNA. What I like, you like. You'll find that they'll say, these families, they are happy people, they laugh, because they For them, they have that
So
gene.
they carry on the genes.
They are those ones who are quiet. It is by nature that they are quiet. So you'll find, say, but those people are locally. These ones are drunkards. These ones are. Generation to generation, it is a part of your DNA. It is rare to find a talkative parent producing a quiet child, although it does happen. So yes, it is true, it does happen. So that is why people need information to know what to do about a situation. In my case, I know that there is a genetic predisposition for alcoholism or addiction and abuse in my lineage. So I am intentional to my children to let them know that there are certain things you shouldn't do in your life. And when my father used to tell me, I didn't really understand it. He used to say, you people can drink. I mean, you cannot drink. Just know. Because he himself had had a problem. Okay. And when he stopped, the problem went. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So I know. If I know that in my family, for instance, we talk about generational curses, you are the one to break it. If I know that in my family, my father divorced, my grandfather divorced, he had many wives, it is me, I am aware of it.
Yes.
It means I think like them. I have to break it now.
That's true.
And therefore, I change the system by saying, no, we are not like this. And I become intentional about working on that. So yes, there's a lot of truth in that.
Maybe. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as we are signing out, Bill is going to give us his last remarks. So what do you have to say?
Yes, I would like to close by saying these remarks. This is drug abuse. Drug abuse is a general problem. Anybody is prone to it. Young people, do not be deceived. You need to get information from reliable sources so that you know what is right, what is wrong. Parents, this one goes to you. Do not ignore the child. Find out, Google, this is a gadget, it's not a phone only. If it was only a phone, you can use Kabiriti. Google how to identify a child who is using drugs and know what to do about it. Sometimes you'll see a young person being closed in, refusing to be communal, refusing to eat lunch with everybody else, wanting to be isolated. What are they hiding? And I like saying this, if you're talking to your son or your daughter, don't talk to them from a distance. Say, come, let's talk, and they sit in the other corner, you sit here. No, sit them right in front of you so that you can look into their eyes and smell whatever it is that could be happening. If there is something you don't understand, query. Get help. There is a lot of help that you need, and you'll be able to sort out this issue. Thank you very much.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have come to the end of the catalog. Bill, thank you so much.
Anytime.
For all the young people listening out there, remember we were talking about peer influence and then the effects of drug abuse, especially this time where we have all of you guys staying at home. So parents out there, I encourage you to make sure you check every content that your kids are taking in, especially from internet. And if possible, you need to check out their phones. So remember, we'll be airing this out every Monday and every Saturday at 4 p.m. Make sure you subscribe to our channels. We have Twitter, we have YouTube, and then Facebook, all at The Move UG. Thank you so much. See you next time.